Yo, today we watching the cruel reality of fancy pigeons, and if it's that they are CIA spies, then I guess that sucks that they're robots. No people actually think pigeons are robots, like genuinely, not just a joke, not a Zeus and Belu type idea. Like they genuinely, I can't say that word, genuinely think that just because they've never seen a baby pigeon they are made by the CIA to like I don't know spy on us.
Pigeons, the exceptionally moronic flying vermin we know and hate today, have actually
Damn.
existed as companions to humans for thousands of years, kind of like dogs have.
Oh yeah, because like when people were trying to get free back in the olden days, they didn't have phones, so they had to like they'd send like pigeons, like yo, bro, you been like yo, damn. I mean, Alexander, have you texted Marilyn yet? No, but I'm gonna send a pigeon to tell her I wish to take it down to the village and shop and eat some slop and not get pooped on it. Hopefully, we don't die.
And sadly, they've gone through a lot of cruel selective breeding for man's twisted pleasure, kind of like dogs have. And that's what we'll learn about today, the depressing world of fancy pigeon breeds. Pigeons are essentially house-trained rock doves. We first domesticated them more than 10,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. And before doing anything particularly cool, pigeons
I know I'm pausing a lot. I'm pretty sure I put reaction in the title, so if you're not here for a reaction, I can't tell you what. But how as a bird do you get domesticated because you can fly? And 10,000 years ago, they thought like boats were insane work. How do you get caught as a pigeon? Dang.
were just prototype chickens. People use them for their meat. But unlike chickens, they're actually quite intelligent. They can not only recognize and remember faces, they can also recognize themselves, which few animals can do. But they're of course most praised for their homing abilities. However, all that being said, pigeons like G.I. Joe, Sharamee, and Paddy have outlived their original purpose. And so we enter the age of modern art pigeons. I've made this list of the top 5 most freakish and abusive pigeon breeds that live in agony every single day. Starting with the barb pigeon. The Last of Us.
That's not a Barbie. Ugh. How do how do we get here? How do we get to the point where it looks like you have an eye infection? Like you got a black eye, but then you got infected. How does one achieve this everywhere? That looks like a skin disease.
Type of kitten. Before the Belgian racing Homer became the predominant carrier pigeon, the old now extinct Turkish carrier pigeons, as well as the Polish and Italian carriers, were barbed with of course less extreme wattles. However, what's more attractive than a potentially debilitating horrendous trait? The barb pigeon has been selectively bred for its large beak and eye wattles. And we have my favorite selective breeding phenomenon occurring. Normal, normal, normal. Oh my god, what the fuck?
Facts. Yeah, bro. No wonder they're back in the olden days dressing up like idiots. I ain't gonna lie. Like back in the 10,000 years ago, that drip was not hitting, and I see why they made such a disgusting bird. Who does he? For those who watch a Black Clover, does this pigeon remind you of William Tree Guy?
A few fancy bird shows later, poor bastard has scrambled egg scrunchy eye rims that, by the way, never stop growing until the bird is effectively blind. Look at this. I could probably do this with a regular pigeon if I stick some chewing gum around its eyes. And the beak?
Wait, 10,000 years ago. Wait, is she talking about like this is how they are? This is how they have been for 10,000 years because if I'm not sure how evolution works, but if you're growing a piece of your body so much that it's affecting your ability to live, wouldn't evolution make you like stop doing that? You know, or would they find a way to like do some eye surgery when it gets too bad, or they just fly around like Daredevil and just hope for the best?
Just looks like some garbage from the shallow seafloor that I'd pick up and
For
show to my
real,
mom and she'd go, ew. I'd say it's a 5 on the suffering scale, although it looks like a particularly disturbing warning image you might see on a pack of cigarettes. It is only kinda blind with the potential to become blind, but the rest of it is fine. Next, Budapest short-faced
bump glad.
tumblers, better known as the bird? Not really, I just made that up. I see the appeal here, okay? That's essentially how I draw any bird. Apart from the obvious, tumblers were bred for a particular set of skills. This.
Pretzel Crust is back at Little C.
Some tumblers could do this neat thing where they roll backwards in the air. Some breeders were like, oh,
That's it. That's all they were bred to do. We're just bored, huh?
neat, and chose to breed birds that exhibited this behavior, which is controlled behavior. It's something they chose to do, and science cannot explain why, but no, they're not just seizing midair. The obvious problem is the obvious thing. Bro is eye infection central. And you know,
Ew.
if you breed something to have a smaller and smaller head but bigger and bigger eyes, at some point the eyes can actually pop out of the animal's sockets. They're only held by skin at this point. Some of these pigeons can't
Yeah, I know. I paused. Something happened. But anyway, that's kind of why? Just for this? Just for some somersault in the air? Bro, birds can just do that anyway. Ugh, that's gross.
even close their eyes fully. Additionally, the beak is becoming a problem as well. It's so small some chicks can't break out of their egg's shell. I'm putting it at a 6 on the suffering scale. And I would love to ask a few expert pigeon breeders, honestly, why would you want to breed something into looking like it's always up in your business? Inquisitive little shit. Next we have the Egyptian Morasalat. Fucking
Oh,
bird you see when you're dying. Also
damn. I don't know why, but that bird just seems like it never has anything nice to say. That bird looks like the ultimate hater. I don't even know.
a bird that probably wants to die every second of its existence. It's bred for its droopy beak, which is currently so malformed the bottom is longer than the top.
How
Again,
does it
no
eat?
idea why this is a desirable trait. This pigeon looks like it's post-sneeze its entire life. Like someone just went, "Meep, so much better. Now go out there and spite God." This bird is extremely expensive because it's
Why?
extremely hard to raise and extremely hard to
Who
care
wants
for.
it?
It cannot eat on its own, and of course, it also can't feed its young.
First, if you're buying this bird, I know you have no kids, no life. You make too much money to live the way you do. Because if you want to stay with this bird all the time, it can't eat nothing. It has to be fed as a grown adult bird. Never that.
So it needs a normal pigeon foster pair to raise the young morosalots. I'm putting it at a 7 on the suffering scale because the sharp bend of their nasal passage also means they have difficulty breathing. And I don't know what it is about this one, it actually looks miserable. With the morosalot, breeders wanted more beak. With the next one, the Oriental frill, the question was probably, what's the least amount of beak a bird can have and not die? Like, be super miserable but not die. But my biggest problem with
I got nothing, bro. This is
these
terrible.
guys is, look at this Casanova, a little mullet-having bell-bottom rock star. In terms of fancy pigeons, this guy should be as fancy as it gets. But experts have decided to give it a microscopic little bit-ass say nothing looking beak. In some pictures, it looks like it's actually an inward stent. These pigeons, like the more
It kind of looks like not. I know it's not the same bird, but the bird from Rio, the bad white bird from Rio. Low
Like
key.
can't preen themselves and have difficulty
Oh, they
eating.
stink.
In fact, foster pigeons aren't even an option here because the young birds can't reach into their mom's beak. The saddest part though,
They can't. Who is deciding to make these? Bro, if you don't like birds, just I'm not gonna say be not show like serial killer tendencies and then like kind of you know what I'm saying? Just pop skulls of birds or something, but like raising a bird into extinction is insane work.
in the past, the breed standard stated the bird's beak should never be so short that it's unable to feed its own young. I think this one's a 7.5 on the suffering scale, but because there are actually attempts to go back to the old breed standard, I'll put it at a 7. Before we get to the crown jewel of pigeon abuse, some honorable mentions. I made this list by looking at a lot of blogs and message boards where people that have a lot more pigeon knowledge than me shared
Why do
this.
you know
The
so much
general
about
rule is,
pigeons?
if it can't raise its own young, it is cruel to breed it. These pigeons aren't as severe, but they're still unsettling examples that I wanted to share. So first honorable mention, throwbacks. Regular
Oh,
pigeons with TikTok fuckboy hair on their wings for some reason. Now, I think it's
that's not aerodynamic at all.
exceptionally wrong to have a pigeon with curly feathers, and they do expend more energy when flying, but they're fine. They're gonna be okay. Next, Jacobin pigeons.
Jesus.
AKA my husband died under mysterious circumstances and I'm ready to find a new one. Except the circumstances
Yeah, that's like the what's it called? A Black Widow. That's what. No wait, isn't that like a spy? What's it called when? No, not a hoe. Um, a lady that like continuously her husband's allegedly just for their money. Is that a Black Widow? I don't know, but Jesus, if she is not missed this whole video with the description she's given these birds.
aren't very mysterious, this breed is essentially blind. The subpar Jacobins are fine, but the ones considered quality birds are
Jesus.
stuck in a permanent can't see shit emo bang phase. Just a little bit worse, of course, because birds don't have any eye muscles and can't move their eyes in their sockets. Next, poulter pigeons. They're
Oh,
like silly and antagonizing at the same time, like when you see a guy do the "you wanna go, bro, you wanna go," but the dude is 5'6" and wears loafers. The problem with these is they can get stuck like this. But the puffs don't cause them any discomfort. They just look like toothpaste when there's only 30% of the tube left. Now, the bird that is in a constant state of discomfort. I've saved the most horrid existence for last. Imagine you have this single, very elegant feature that people like, but then someone takes your head and yanks it all the way down to your ass, and it's
dang.
like, good, better. This is the pigeon enthusiast's pinnacle of
Damn, looks like a peacock with no color. Why is this like legal? What, man? Like, no offense to God or whatever, but you're he's letting too much stuff slide. This can't be like legal in the universe. You feel me? Like Jesus,
selective breeding, an absolute monstrosity.
I
It's
can't see
depressing for
none over
several
his
reasons.
chest.
Firstly, this is not a pose. Some birds like these chickens pose like this, yes, but the fantail is permanently sitting in this position. It can only move its head from side to side or slingshot it forwards for a brief moment, so you can imagine what a nightmare this bird has to go through just to feed itself.
Oh wait, if people are breeding these birds, they're in cages, so they're not in the wild, so they can't really evolve. Okay, makes sense. Because if they're in the wild, cooked. Bird that can't see in front of it or over it, cooked.
They also can't see what's going on like ever, so they're very skittish and they can barely even support those beautiful tails because it's not easy to balance when you're constantly on your
Oh,
tiptoes looking upwards. And for some
oh,
mysterious reason, People love the fact that they made this fucking flying scoliosis
Can they
monstrosity,
bird?
which
I mean,
actually
can they
can't even
fly? Can
fly
they
more than
bird?
a couple of feet off the ground. However,
They're
worst of
chickens.
all, pigeons are very social birds, and the way they communicate with each other most of the time is by bobbing their heads. And this one can't. Can't socialize, can't fly, can't
How
see,
does it
can't
mate?
eat,
Oh
and it
wait,
can
breeding. Forgot.
barely stand. This is some Q level shit that just goes unnoticed because who cares about pigeons? I've been coming to terms with my fear of some birds. I will probably never be able to love a chicken, but I've learned
I
to
love
respect
chickens.
pigeons because they're capable birds. The Romans used them to spread messages, which were anything from chariot race results to ships announcing their arrival to ports. Egyptians used pigeons as flood alerts. In the Arab world, they were known as the king's angels, carriers of lovers' vows and decorated servants in both world wars. But as we learned today, they're also the subject of blind hatred and literal abuse. So go show your local pigeons some love. Toss them some old bread. I've
I don't live anywhere near pigeons, so you know what I'm saying. Y'all who live in a big city, shout out you
linked some
pigeons.
blogs in the description because there's very little info on unethical breeding practices in the pigeon fandom and from high school visiting. So bye. Energize. Yummy gamers.
Well, that is the end of the video. All in all, if reincarnation is real, I'm not dying. I don't want to come back as any of those pigeons because if I do, I am jumping and hopefully I get reincarnated as something else.